For most of us, life is a journey without a map. We move through the waters, cope with the winds when they come up, and glide with relief when the surface is smooth. We may know that life springs from what's below the surface, but the work of rowing the boat often drowns out our own spiritual selves. Juliet Hollister is a woman who rocks the boat, dips below the surface without fear, and has from a very young age. At 10 years, deeply missing her beloved grandfather, who had left this world, little Juliet experienced a visitation with him in the garden where they had often walked together.
There was Grandpa smiling and laughing at me. And he was in effect saying, well, my little granddaughter, I'm just popping in to keep an eye on you and let you know I love you and behave yourself. And then he leaned over and kissed me on the cheek. And it was like a little butterfly wing. It was very soft. And then he was gone.
It took Juliet years to find words for her early sense that she was, as she puts it, living in, swimming in, a sea of conscious, loving intelligence.
It gave me the feeling that we're living in one dimension, but in this dance of life, there's another dance behind the scenes.
Juliet looked for an explanation of that sense in all the world's religions. Our spiritual quests are pursued in different ways, but all world religions seek the same divine destination.
In spite of the different philosophy, all religions carry the same message, and all have the potential to produce good human being. That means warm-hearted human being.
As simple as it sounds, the idea of embracing other people's religious beliefs is a relatively new one. Juliet Hollister's search for her own spiritual understanding led her on a journey from a very suburban Anglo-Saxon American childhood to Lake Nagin in Kashmir and beyond.
My parents took me to a different church every week. We would do Buddhist and Muslim, and she was roundly criticized by her friends.
Juliet Hollister is an absolutely unpredictable spiritual being, and it's one of the characteristics of spirit. It's not predictable. You don't know where it's going to pop up, and she's always having wonderful ideas, such as the creation of the Temple of Understanding back in 1960. And I mean, she forges ahead where there aren't any road maps, and that takes courage and style.
Carl Sagan once said that dreams are maps. What we imagine for the future leads us there. Juliet's first imagining was a physical temple of understanding, a building with wings representing the world's religions, libraries for learning, and a central pool and flame for meditation and prayer. A meeting with Eleanor Roosevelt was the breakthrough that Juliet needed.
She said, this is absolutely beautiful. And then she said, what can I do to help you?
The great lady wrote letters to political and religious leaders around the world, and Juliet was off to create the Temple of Understanding.
Albert Schweitzer was a sweetie pie. I spent a week with him in the jungles of Lamborghini. He's best known for using the phrase reverence for life. We went to see Sadat. So we told him of our dream, and he understood it and got it immediately. That's when I first met Mother Teresa. She spoke so beautifully about love. The Dalai Lama radiates this quality. Schweitzer did too. I think it's a universal consciousness.
Juliet wouldn't build a building. She would draw people together to build a movement, embracing all faiths. Life magazine called it a wonderful obsession. The Catholic theologian Thomas Merton clarified our spiritual perspective when he said, "My dear brothers and sisters, we are already one. What we have to discover is what we already are."
A version of the golden rule is found in the sacred writings of virtually every religious tradition in the world. This is our common humanity, and this is our one plea: to love each other as we would be loved.
Recognition of our oneness became the real work of the Temple of Understanding.
As believers, we all have a moral obligation to recognize our spiritual common ground, to rise above our differences, to combat prejudice and intolerance.
Through 6 spiritual summit conferences and the Global Forum Conference at Oxford in 1988, the Temple has created the opportunity for the world's religious and political leaders to reach that common ground. The purpose of these gatherings is to bring moral influence to bear on global problems.
All things are bound together. All things connect. Whatever befalls the earth befalls also the children of the earth.
Another conference is planned for New Delhi in 1999, focusing on conflict resolution for religious leaders. The Temple has now become a mainstay in the global interfaith movement, extending its reach to the United Nations.
What interfaith seeks to do is to now not allow religion to fall back into confrontational modes, into contemporary crusades and jihads, rather to move onwards to a new level of interfaith harmony and understanding.
The United Nations has repeatedly drawn attention to the oneness of humankind. I look to religious leaders for help and inspiration in my work as Secretary General.
Most recently, the Temple, along with the Interfaith Center of New York, co-sponsored a commemorative event honoring Dr. Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi.
Dr. King and Gandhi, like Jesus, believed that at our core, that we are children of God, that we count.
Grandfather used to tell me that you can't change the whole world, but all you can do is like a farmer who goes out into the fields and plants seeds. Go and plant these seeds and have faith that those seeds will germinate.
Juliet returned to India, to the friend who always taught by her own example.
Then I saw her just this summer in Calcutta, just 3 weeks before she left us. And she was her usual cheery, bright self. I think she was ready to go. I think she felt she'd done what she came to do.
It is not how much we give, but how much love we put in the giving. Let us ask God to bless this gathering together so that we go home now with a determination to become the carriers of God's love and peace.
The visions we present to our children shape the future. It matters what those visions are. Often they become self-fulfilling prophecies. Dreams are maps.
Juliet's vision grew out of her own spiritual search. She's fond of a story told by Alan Watts, a parable of finding your own way to divine love.
You have this little pollywog in this pond, and he's swimming around and around the pond. And he overhears the elders talking every so often about a mysterious ocean that they think you can get to from the pond. Well, this little pollywog, he finds this long, dark tunnel. And then he comes out and he's in this enormous ocean. And he panics. He hears this huge voice, "Listen, little frog, you don't have to be scared to death. You have always swum in the ocean of my being, but you never knew it before. Have a good time. You're here to enjoy yourself. I'll take care of you." Oh, it makes me cry. Isn't that ridiculous?